have heard back in June, Tulsa suffered from some devastating straight line winds that came through here. And you can see some of the devastation that happened. But unless you've been by Tulsa or you're from Tulsa, you may not be aware of it. So today we are here at the Tulsa Garden Center. And joining me is Andy Fusco, who is the Director of Horticulture. And unfortunately, you guys are also seeing some of the losses right here at the Arboretum. Tell us a little bit. I mean, that was a solid tree, right?
Yeah, it was one of our oldest specimens here in the Arboretum, one of the original plantings in 1964. And as you can see, it was no match for 100-mile-per-hour winds, just completely uprooted.
Yeah, and so, I mean, it's a solid tree. You've done all your pruning, except for, unfortunately, you know, we know telephone poles, there are just things that definitely give out under 100-mile-an-hour winds. But what's kind of odd is there's no rhyme or reason, right? You've got perfectly good standing trees next to us here.
Yeah, just my general plant knowledge, it seems like some of the oaks took it worse than some of the other trees. I would have to wait for some more data to really see that. It's interesting as a plants person, but just as a citizen of Tulsa, it's really devastating to see these big old trees that it takes a lot of energy and time for this to be here.
Yeah.
And to see it just knocked over is unfortunate.
And this is a little bit different than the ice storm that we had a few years ago, because we're not talking branches. We're talking massive, heavy lumber here.
Right. A lot of us here remember that ice storm well, and the amount of cleanup that it took. And like you said, that was just branches and limbs and maybe some whole trees, but I don't even know how you would start to move something like this without some professional help, for sure.
Yeah, and so you are working with some professionals to kind of maybe even salvage some of this or mill some of it, is that correct?
Yeah, so of course the city of Tulsa has been a huge effort in cleaning up the park in general, but as well as our managing partners of this space in the park, Upwith Trees, cleaning this up in a way that hopefully we can get some new life out of this wood so that it doesn't all just end up in the chipper. And then this root ball especially, it's not often that you get to teach with almost 8 foot in diameter root ball at your back. So we're trying to figure out all the different ways that we can use this tragedy as kind of a silver lining and an educational moment.
Yeah, absolutely. We never get to look at the underside of the tree, and so that's a unique perspective here. So tell us a little bit about what it meant for the Tulsa Garden Center here while you were recovering from all of this.
Yeah, so the entire park was closed for about 5 weeks. So of course we couldn't have guests in doing what we love to do, which is like share our love of the park with guests. We were able to bring in volunteers a little early and get cleaned up. And one funny thing is, you know, you mentioned the ice storm, and afterwards, that time of year in the winter, it was all cleanup all the time. Well, we had to, you know, split our labor in terms of, because we still had things growing and we wanted things after cleanup.
Middle of the season, right?
Yeah, so it felt kind of funny taking a break from tree cleanup to go water flowers, but it's what you got to do as a public gardener.
Absolutely. And I know that cleanup is still ongoing, right? Because this doesn't just get picked up by the local pickup service, obviously. So, you know, I think your gardens are now open. Is that correct? Everything?
Yeah. The park is back open, and actually this is just one little hiccup in an ongoing restoration of this space in the Arboretum. We were already working on trying to get some new trees back in here, so we may have to add a few to the list, but it's just another, you know, it just goes to show that, you know, trees are important and ongoing maintenance of spaces like this are important.
And obviously we always want everybody to be careful, because now we're starting to see where some of those branches are turning dead. Basically, they have died because they've been broken, but you can actually see because the leaves have died now as well.
Yeah, if you're out in the park and you see caution tape or anything that looks unsafe, please stay clear of it. The city has done a fabulous job cordoning off areas that they have not gotten to yet. It takes a long time to make sure that trees are safe. So the park is open, but there are some areas that are closed off, and it's for the guest safety.
All right, well, thank you. We still have Oklahoma winds that might be blowing those dead branches up there. So thank you for that. And unfortunately, tragedy happens. Gardens change, right? And new opportunity to plant something new.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Casey.
We hope you enjoyed this video as part of our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. You can also find even more videos on the OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.